What's going on, Flight Sim crew? This is your pilot in command, Ryan, and I have a bit of a hot take on some of the additions to the new Microsoft 40th year anniversary, specifically the glider. So, just to give you a little bit of background, I had, I believe it was Flight Sim 98. The glider was included in that, as well as a number of other very iconic aircraft. And I flew it a handful of times. Felt like it was a unique aircraft, but it basically you're just gracefully falling. It's the best way for me to put it. You hit something called the glide slope, which is what we learned in fixed-wing aircraft, and you maximize your time in the air until you have to find a runway. That's my background as someone who's gone through flight training. So, as you see here, this is the new glider in Flight Sim. And right off the bat, I would tell you that I like certain things about it. So I like that you can see the thermals, so these weird lines that are going up the side of the mountain. Those are thermals, letting you know that apparently you can climb. Of course, no background to this, so you're going to see in just a few moments what happens to me when I try to take advantage of a thermal, being that I have absolutely no experience with a glider. Additionally, there's this very annoying beep 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 boom device, and it has a name. It escapes me at the moment, but I don't really know what that thing does. I guess it tells you air moving up, air moving down. So I just went into basically what amounts to a stall, because I believe that I thought that I was riding the thermal and pulled up too much on the yoke, which caused the glider craft, I don't know what you call these things, we'll call it a glider craft, caused it to lose enough airspeed that it went into a small stall. Fortunately, I had enough altitude, no big deal. But I wanted you guys to take a moment to take a look at this, because this is very, very different than anything I've ever experienced. As you can see here, the instrument panels, that's the device that's apparently is telling you if the thermals are pushing you higher or if you are losing altitude. The thing in the middle appears to be like a heat map, maybe telling you where thermals could be located. Top right corner is your altimeter. The one to the left of it, I believe, is your airspeed, but I couldn't confirm because mine was just trying to process all this new information. And if you can hear that strange whine noise, that is what one of those instruments makes all the time. Now, if someone listening is a glider pilot, if you know someone who is a glider pilot, by all means, I have a lot of respect for a glider pilot. I will tell you this, I have more respect for a glider pilot, having now attempted to fly one with almost zero knowledge of what any of those instruments mean or what that weird sound is. As a matter of fact, I even made sure that the flight simulator's flight assistant wouldn't do anything that I wasn't anticipating, which could cause detrimental effects, and they were pretty much disabled. And so yeah, it's interesting. So gliders have always been something that people see as being a challenge of aviation, but also being very in tune with nature. So, as I said before, and I will say it again, I have all the respect in the world for a glider pilot. But I can now say that I don't understand anything at all about gliders or their pilots, or how they become one with both their aircraft and the atmosphere. Just gonna sound a little spoiled here, but if I'm in a bit of a pickle at low RPM, I just give it full throttle, and that can pretty much get you out of almost anything. There's no throttle on a glider. You are falling with style, to quote a a Disney character, which I probably shouldn't say because I want to keep my video up. But most glider pilots say that the experience is one of serenity, right? You don't have a loud engine, you don't have nearly the same, I don't want to say demands, I'm going to say tight regulations. How about that? Tight regulations that you have. I mean, I'm sure you still have regulations on gliders, but they're usually in specific areas where there's known glider activity. But pilots who are glider pilots absolutely adore them, and part of me wants to find out why, right? That's kind of a neat concept, and I can understand being where you're basically surfing on air would be pretty neat. Just real quickly, I checked a couple of these things here. There's something called water ballast. That's interesting. No idea what that is. Water lever. Okay, that's interesting. Some battery selectors. The tow cable disconnect, which makes perfect sense because you have to be towed up by a normal aircraft. And I believe the canopy release, and then the landing gear, which later on I will try to make the best of something, and someone in the comments, if you are a glider pilot, please help me understand why some of these things work, some of them don't. I could not get the landing gear to do anything at all, and I don't know if that was because it needed to be lever 3 pulled of 4. I don't know, but clearly when I tried to use it as lever 1, it did not like me. Anyhow, with that being said, I want to keep this video to being a bit more brief. I may even do a quick short on this, but I wanted to give you guys just my first impressions, having gotten the Microsoft Flight Simulator 40-year anniversary and being reintroduced to an aircraft I was introduced to at a very young age with Flight Simulator. I believe it was 98. It could have been 95, but that would be really too young for me to even understand what's going on, so I believe it was 98. But also having the unique feeling of getting into a aircraft and being like, I have no idea what's going on. I mean, I'm sure lots of pilots will say that about lots of aircraft, and many of us, we specialize in our aircraft, but a Cessna pilot should not pilot, obviously, a Boeing. However, the 4 forces of flight are the same. If you understand that you got to put the landing gear down, there's, a few extra things that go on with that. In a simulator, you may have luck as a Cessna pilot getting a Boeing fill-in-the-blank to have a bumpy landing, but make it down in one piece in a way that would, minimize damage to the aircraft and preserve as much human life as possible. This thing is like, I think I'm in a UFO. Like, I know that's just strange for me to say this. It has wings. It should be behaving like an aircraft, but it kind of has its own quirks, and I can't even really fully understand yet, mind you, with only one day trying, how these thermals actually function, or if I'm supposed to do something to take advantage of them. Not really sure. Now, to go back to my pilot training, it's a very frequent thing that anyone's instructor will do, which is to, as they're flying the airplane, they will reach over, they will pull the throttle out to neutral, and they will say, you just lost your engine. And when you lose your engine, you execute a certain protocol. So you hit the glide slope so you can maximize the amount of time you remain in air before bleeding off all your altitude, and you then find a suitable runway. So a pilot traditionally trained like me in a glider, well, I go, okay, I don't have an engine's dead, so let's find a runway to make sure I can safely get down on something that's not someone's farm, or worse, or in the middle of a river, what have you. And I have to say that Microsoft, if you've ever done one of their discovery flights, they just kind of tell you after you've flown by whatever the landmark is, they say, just hit escape to leave. Well, as a pilot, no. Like when I flew by the pyramids of Giza, I went and landed at Cairo International because as a pilot, the most important part is getting the plane back down. It's like the most important part. The plane will get up in the air. That's what it wants to do. But it will, the skill is getting it back down safely, and so that it will fly again, hopefully with absolutely no incidents. So I start looking just for a place that I can put this thing down, and pardon me, I will tell you, I don't know what Microsoft engineers were thinking, because if I'd been designing it, I would have probably given 2, maybe even 3 little runways that would have shown up on the map so that somebody as stubborn as myself could have at least some attempt at putting it down on a sanctioned airport. Instead, I decided to try to just make the best of what I had. I thought about that water landing in that river, then I thought about maybe a farm, and then by the time I committed, it's let's just say it was not my best run with a glider. I might have walked away from it, but I don't think the glider would have been flight worthy. There may have been a tree or two that might have taken off those very long wings. But only because, again, I had no place to land, so I'm getting down to the lowest altitude possible and trying to decide, okay, where's the most suitable landing spot. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I've done a glider in a simulator before. I've never seen it, nor have I talked to a glider pilot in real life. They could probably teach me a lot, and if anyone's watching this as a glider pilot, just either tell me, just right out how I'm wrong, how I'm terrible, and what the real scoop is from the insiders, or if there's some material that would help, link it in the comments. I will make sure to read it. But I'm going to wrap things up here really quick, and I will do some editing of this video so that you guys can kind of get a feel for what I'm referring to without having to watch an entire 25-minute flight exploration, if you will. But yeah, gliders, I think that they might have been brought by some other species, left here, and yeah, I mean, if you can fly them, or if you feel encouraged to fly them, I absolutely support that. As a fixed-wing pilot that can fly a single-engine airplane, I would prefer to have a multi-engine airplane, I'll put it that way. And a single engine's just fine. But no engine, I gotta draw a boundary at some point, and dancing with the winds of Mother Nature just doesn't jump out at me as the type of thing that I want to put my faith in aviation. At least not yet, until I know more. So hopefully we'll all learn more together. I'm sure I'll tinker with this again. I might even go down a little bit of a rabbit hole. I don't want to take up more of your time. Thanks so much for listening to my hot take on my first experience with a glider in Microsoft Flight Simulator on their 40th anniversary. If you like the video, give it a like. If you want to see more of this type of content, specifically about flight sims and aviation, subscribe to the channel. And folks, you are the best. I will see you all in the next video. Thank you.